points of holidays? Are they days that we just take off, or are they meant to be moments stamped in history to take us back to an anchor, a point of remembrance that helps us to remember where we've come from so we can know where we're going? Hey, thanks for joining me for this impromptu video, this family moment that I want to share with you. And if you could, please be patient with me as I, gather my thoughts, because this is just a moment that I thought I want to talk to you, moms and dads, family members, as we think about days on the calendar, holidays. And also, please be forgiving of my outdoor settings. You might hear dogs barking, you may hear neighbors working on their yard, but I just wanted to get here and talk to you for a second. And here's what I want to talk about. It is 9/11 currently. And on this day, there is so much to remember and reflect on. At least for me. Why? Because I was alive during 9/11. I can remember hearing the news on TV that we had been attacked.
This just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
I can remember the confusion saying, was it missiles? Was it just New York? Are we being bombed? Was it an accident? What's going on? And then turning on the TV, wondering if we had been attacked, and then seeing a second airplane hit the second tower.
Tape just moments ago of the second plane hitting the World Trade Center.
Our minds were rattled. I can remember being on my college campus, calling my parents, calling my then girlfriend, now wife, Carmel, and just talking up through this and saying, what is going on? Our whole world had been shook. But then we had a conversation with our kids. And this is where this conversation comes in with you. And I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? But here's what happened, especially last year during the 20th anniversary. When we brought the conversation up to our kids, we realized that it's just something marked in a history book for them. They weren't alive. Honestly, 9/11 was something that could have been as far as the Stone Ages as far as they were concerned, because they hadn't experienced it. So then I kind of got shook for a moment and just thought, well, what is the point? And you know what we did is we decided to actually stop for a moment, sit our kids down, we pulled up some videos, we had some conversations, we let them see the tragedy that had happened that horrible day. And then we talked through some of the emotions and the things that had happened all around us, to give them an awareness, to help them understand this really happened. And this happened in our nation. And this could happen to you, which brings us to this point of this entire video. What is the point of our holiday? Are they meant to be days that we just take off and enjoy and sit back and do some barbecue, maybe go to the lake or have fun with our families, throw a frisbee? Or is there meant to be a moment in those days when we reflect on the reason for those days? July 4th, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, all these holidays where we reflect on something of value and importance. They're there for a reason. And here's a challenge that I felt today, and if I'm honest, I've been feeling for a little bit now, which is again the prompting for this video. We need to reflect on what has been, because what has been affects what will be. You know, when we forget our history, when we forget what God has done for this nation, for ourselves, when we forget that, then we suddenly become lost when it comes to our future. We become aimless wanderers, not knowing where we want to get. Whether our past was sordid and ugly or whether it was beautiful and exciting, the point is that we learn from what has been to know where we want to go into our future. And as parents, especially, we are responsible to help launch our kids into their future. And if our kids don't know where they came from, well, then they're missing out on where they're going to go. There's been studies showing, that I don't have the statistics with me because again, this was very impromptu, but saying that kids that have grandparents that speak into their lives, when the kids know where they came from, they become much more successful and confident. In other words, our history carries a value that empowers our kids into their future. It blows my mind. And again, is the point of this conversation, what are we doing to instill a future in our kids by talking about our past? We need to empower our kids. And today, on this 9/11, we step back and we allow the solemnness of this moment to sink in. We have to be careful to not just let it be another day on the calendar. Oh yeah, kids, yeah, 9/11, read your history books. It was bad. No, we need to take a moment to say, do you see what once happened? How do we guard ourselves in our future for what could be? Not only that, but I'm a pastor and I want to talk to you about Jesus things. And one of the things is during those moments at 9/11, people came back to church, but they didn't stay in church. And these moments in history allow us to reflect back and ask ourselves, why not? Why did the church come flooding back in fear, but then walk away? Was it because of apathy, complacency? And if so, what about our own personal lives? What kind of history can we walk our kids through to show them that we need to be passionate followers of Jesus? That we need to be Jesus followers that know who he is and run hard after him. Our past, whether it's bad or good, helps our kids know who they are and moves them into the future. And so on this 9/11, on this day when we reflect back on something that horribly tragic happened to our nation and thousands died, I think it's also important to remember that we need to talk about it. We need to talk about why we celebrate Christmas, why we have Thanksgiving, why we celebrate our veterans, why we take time for whatever it is that we've stopped and paused for. And we give honor and credence to the people who sacrificed, the things that happened, and we recognize what could be because of what has been. So thank you for letting me share this kind of off-the-cuff thinking. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Do you take moments to celebrate these holidays, or maybe it's not a big deal? I'd love to hear back from you. Am I taking this too seriously, or, well, is it time we take it a little more seriously? Let me know. Thanks so much for this family moment, and I look forward to talking to you again.